On today's show, I'm bringing back a returning guest. He was on my show back in June 17th of this year. We're talking no other than PCT Limited. You can find them on the OTC markets. Their ticker symbol is PCTL. And with us today, going to bring us up to speed, is the CEO and chairman of the company, Mr. Gary Grieco. Gary, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Everett. It's always a pleasure to be on and speak with you and your staff.
So rumor has it that now that the 10K is filed, when can we expect the first and second quarter 10Qs? And I just want to make sure that that's not just a rumor, that has happened and come to fruition.
That is true. The Q finally, the K finally got filed, and I will go out as much as it's always come back to bite me a little bit, be out on a limb here a little bit, but we should have the first Q finished out before this week is out, and by the week after that have the second quarter Q, which is the one that I'm very anxious to get out. The first quarter Q is not going to show very much, but it's the second quarter, which gives us the benefit of April, May, June to reflect on where this company is and where it's heading.
You know, it's been almost 2 months since you've been on the show. A lot has happened with our country, especially with the COVID-19. That being said, where are we at on the fluid shipments? Are they leveling off? Do we see some sort of balance, or can you tell us what you see here in the next 1 or 2 quarters going forward in 2020?
Well, all right. That's interesting, an interesting question. The fluids are staying up for us, but they're spread out differently, which I consider a very, very good thing. We're getting more of as they get operational and get running, the distributors are maintaining our fluid sales for us, but also in a much broader base. I think I mentioned this before. I'm guessing, but I would say now that our fluid sales, let me just add one caveat to that, except for the ones where it's made on site in hospital settings. Removing that from the equation, all the other fluid sales beyond that are probably 80-20 in other areas, 80-20 when I say non-medical, not going into a hospital or a clinic or assisted living facility. And we consider that a reflection of what the COVID-19 has done is the awareness side. And we've talked about this before. It's something this company has been preaching since its inception about being proactive, aggressive to keep facilities and people safe, not only in the workplace, but in certainly, as we're finding out, in venues where people go to relax, like restaurants and movie theaters, et cetera. So those days are getting better.
Okay.
And the other thing that we find is when you say a leveling, we don't get the spurts like we did. And by that, I mean we'd be practically overwhelmed by 1 day or 2 days and leveling off. We've got a much more consistent average days, which are good for our planning and just maintaining. We've got enough containers, especially the 275-gallon tote containers and bottles, keeping that flow coming into the company so that we don't run short like we had in March and April.
You know, I get all kinds of emails here at the office. A lot of emails wanted me to ask you, where are we at on new installations and distributors? Can you bring us up to speed on either one of those?
The new installations, by installations, we're going to talk about our level 3, because that's where there's actually equipment, or level 2 that are much larger distributors. That continues to grow. We're going to hold to saying that between now and the end of the year, we'll have a total of 50 by year end. We're up in the low 20s now. I'm glad you asked that question for another reason. There has been so much misinformation out there about who's a distributor, who isn't. We created a new website, which is strictly to do with distributors, et cetera. Our distributors will all be listed there. And I think some of the confusion from people happen is that one single distributor may have 2 or 3 or 4 different names that they're marketing the fluids under, depending where it's going.
Right.
And they're counting that as 4 distributors, but in fact it's not. It's just one of the same. For example, we have 3 labels ourselves depending where it's going. So that continues to be an exciting thing.
And Gary, I don't mean to cut you off, but just real quick, where can they find that information at? What website?
You know what? With just being formed, between now, I'll get it to you momentarily. I mean, I just don't have it.
Is that the one? Is that www.para-con.com?
No, that's our normal. That's our corporate website.
Okay.
I'll get it for you within minutes. All right. After you do this call, I'm sure you can put it in there for me.
You were talking about the hospitals?
Oh, I just said, and that continues to be an exciting bright spot. Not that it was never a bright spot, but what's happening is in our last press release, you see, we're going in. We fulfilled the ones that we were sort of backlogged on. We're doing 5 more now, and we've got another 5 in the queue in different stages. So, I mean, all of a sudden we're looking at between, again, now and the end of the year, we feel we'll have a minimum of 30 hospitals by then, and might constitute 40 systems because of the increase that's coming. 3 current hospitals are increasing the amount of equipment they have because they realize that this product should be used in a much larger venue than simply in operating theaters and in terminally cleaning rooms. It should be used throughout the hospital. So that's created a bigger, steady level demand from the hospitals.
You know, as time goes on, people try to add to their different repertoire, different products, different diversities, if you will. What I'm trying to say is, are you guys looking to diversify in any other areas?
Hey, you must be a psychic. As a matter of fact, we are. We expect to be coming out with certainly one. It's in the final stages of a brand new product on the market that has to do with getting people in and through. For example, hospitals where when you go there, you got to get your temperature checked and they ask you a series of questions. Well, this is a piece of equipment that will help tremendously. We feel, especially in schools. I know there's a lot of controversy. They could open, not open. Some are opening, some aren't. But one of the problems they're having is how do you move 800 or 1,000 kids into a school that doesn't take hours?
Right.
This is a product that we're really excited about that solves that problem. And we are looking at a couple other ancillary problems within the healthcare industry. And I want to underscore 2 things. This company's working through some, horrible past errors it made a year and a half ago. Money is still dear to us. We are not spending a lot of money. These products will not take money from our current budgets and divert it. For example, our budgets are now to really start expanding. I know people ask quite often about Fort Wayne. I would think that before the end of this month, we'll commence beginning to build that facility out. And the same thing, equipment, both hospital equipment and the big volume equipment.
Is it safe to say the balance sheet is a lot much stronger today than it was this time last year?
Yes, except there's going to be one caveat, and I want to point it out. You know, there's a number on there. It's sort of like depreciation. By that I mean it's just derivatives. That goes back to if we don't solve the problems, which we're doing one at a time with the old debt, and those things were to go into a point and be enforced, they would be issued. They got warrants and a lot of other things. Every settlement we've made is eliminates those. So that number is much larger only because the stock is better. If the stock were to double for here, that number would better. We are currently in negotiations with a couple more of them. People are very receptive now. Getting these things behind them, first of all, they get money, and we get relieved of a potential problem, and it's great for both of us.
My guest today has been Gary Grieco. He is the CEO and chairman of PCT Limited. You can find him on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol PCTL. Gary, I'm going to give you the last words. What is it that you want your stockholders and my listeners to take away from today's interview?
I guess in the last 6 or 7 months, we've had some bumps along the way, but we stayed the course. What this company has been built on and for is moving forward in that venue, slowly beginning to broaden that base, and we are more excited as everybody in this company. The prospects for this company have never been brighter.
Gary, thank you so much for coming back on the show. Hopefully you'll come back on in 50 days or 60 days and give us an update of what's going on.
And I would enjoy that, because I think for then we'll be able to get rid of all of the, not rid of all of them, but the vast majority of any of the old things that have bugged this problem, and will continue to show what I deem to be rapid increase in both sales and revenues.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by La Jolla Media LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are for educational and research purposes. Stock Day encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional.